Okay, I have 9 o'clock. I will call the Harrison County Commission meeting for Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023 to order. If you will rise and join us in the invocation. Pledge, please.
Heavenly Father, I just thank you for the individuals in this room. I thank you that you brought us all together today to serve and care about one another and do our due diligence for our county here in Harrison County. I pray that all the people in this room have a wonderful day and are able to get home safe to their families and enjoy a wonderful evening. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take it no one signed up for public comment. It's all covered up.
No.
Is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak publicly? Anyone on Zoom wish to speak publicly? Okay, hearing none, we will move to number 2, consent agenda. What's the pleasure?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Payroll change notices, there's one under A. What's the pleasure?
Move to approve change roll notice A.
Motion to remove payroll change notice A. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 4, minutes and or amended minutes of previous meetings A and B.
Move to approve minutes as presented, A and B.
Motion to remove minutes as presented under A and B. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Requisitions, purchase orders, invoices, A and B.
Move to approve A, a large Temps ball PSD ARPA funds.
And I do have a change for B, if I may.
I'd like to go ahead and approve the Temps ball, if that's all right with the other commissioners. Before we get to the vendor.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. Requisition, motion's been made to approve 5A. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. 5B. Oh,
Well, you have a change.
Yes, so the change that I have, we pulled a requisition to CDWG in the amount of $4,679.99. And it will give us a new grand total in general county of $970,078.83. And then for a grand total of 1,848,957.59.
Move to approve vendor list payment. All the changes that Laura made, and I would like to add one change that we remove One Call Plumbing Inc. until they can give us a detailed invoice for the amount of money they're requesting other than what they presented. I don't understand why they can't supply a detailed invoice for that large sum.
okay, motion's been made to approve vendor list B
That's bad.
with the exception of the requisition that Laura mentioned. And Commissioner Hinkle is bringing up the requisition for One Call Plumbing,
Yes, ma'am.
requesting a detailed statement. Any discussion? My understanding is that this is, I mean, we paid the last large amount without a detailed statement.
Correct. So we already paid their first invoice that they sent without the detailed statement along the lines of how much we're on labor and all that kind of stuff. So this is the same type of invoice that they sent us this time as they did last time that we approved and paid. We have asked for detail to try to get the information of how much tonnage they used overall, what size and all that, and we have not received that.
Any further discussion?
Yes, ma'am, I think for what they did out in the street, the amount of money and construction that went on out there, I think it's the least that this commission knows exactly what they did, put in the ground and what occurred. I think they owe us that, especially for the amount of money that we're paying them, and I don't think it's a request that any contractor shouldn't be able to supply us with the information where he spent the money that we're about to reimburse, but we have no idea what we're paying for out in that street.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carried. Okay, number 6, exoneration corrective tickets, joint property applications A, B, and C. What's the pleasure?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve number 6, A through C. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 7, consideration of approval of a project fund requisition for the payment of costs associated with the project to be financed from proceeds of the Series 2019 bonds issued for the Charles Point Economic Opportunity Development District, Series 2021 A and B Development District number 3, White Oaks Project number 2, and Series 2008 A, Charles Point Project number 2, Northland Bay Improvements. A, requisition for payment, Jackson Kelly, $177. What's the pleasure?
Move to approve 7A requisition for payment
Motion,
082323 in the amount of $177.
motion to approve 7A as stated by Commissioner Hinkle. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 8, review, discuss, consider GSA update potential executive session pursuant to 69A4B9 to consider matters involving or affecting the purchase, sale, release of property, advanced construction planning, the investment of public funds, or other matters involving commercial competition, which if made public might adversely affect the financial or other interests of the county. Is there anything?
I have no update at this time, Madam President.
We'll proceed to 9, and it appears there is nothing under 9. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Good. Number 10, review, discuss, consider request to travel planning department renewal of asbestos certification, Reclaim Company, 208th Street, Fairmont, West Virginia, August 23rd, 2023. What's the pleasure?
Motion approved, please.
Motion to approve the travel,
A and B.
A and B for both individuals. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carried. Number 11, review, discuss, consider task order number 4 for the CSX acquisition, proposed scope of work to include A, environmental sampling and testing, B, soil management plan, C, capping plan, and D, site review of major structures.
Motion approved A through D.
Motion to approve 11A through D. Is there any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. Chad, why did we cap the culvert size? Was it 24 inches? I'm trying to.
I just picked David, the larger size culverts. I didn't think that you'd want me to look at every single one. And so I just picked the major ones that I thought you might have problems with from a structural standard. Now, if you want to look at everything that's out there, I'd be happy to do that. It was just an arbitrary. That's what we look at when we do DOH. It's a major structure. And so that's why I picked that.
Do we have any idea of what the amount of, let's say, 12, 18 inch?
I don't.
Because I mean, those to me are the ones that we're gonna have issues with, it's getting plugged up, correct?
Correct.
Versus 24s.
It was meant to be more of a structural.
Structural.
Yeah.
I don't know how the other two feel, but I think that there's a 12-inch or something that's plugged up, then we ought to be evaluating the culverts in the project if we're gonna have a bunch of culvert staff replaced, because I'm gonna say none of these culverts have had maintenance for 30 years.
Probably. Probably, I guess, good guess.
I would like to add the addition that Thrasher evaluate culverts down to 12 inches.
You suggest that we do that, Chad? Or is that
That's
something-
certainly up to you. I mean, I'd be happy to do that for you and make sure and look at all of them.
And that's where our cost is going most would probably be at is.
I'm out there anyway. It's not, just look at all of them while we're there.
I think it'd be helpful from a grant perspective to know what the anticipated costs are for you all. And that's kind of what this is tailored to, just get an idea of what the remediation, like we did on the southern section, what's going to take.
Do you have a problem amending your motion to include?
No, man.
Okay. So the motion is to approve number 11 and add in to look at capping the culverts down to 12 inches.
Yes, ma'am.
Or 12 inches and up, or however you
Yeah,
want to say.
12 inches above.
Okay,
Thank you.
all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 12. I'm going to recuse myself and leave the room from this one. I wear a hat for every group that is involved in this, so I believe there's a conflict there, so.
Madam President, why don't you go ahead and read the motion and then just excuse yourself, please?
I don't agree with the recusal. I don't know where there's a financial benefit for your recusal. So I'm gonna ask the attorney to please advise the committee.
So there's no personal financial benefit for Commissioner Thomas, certainly, but just the appearance, given that she does wear two hats as a best practice, I don't see why we wouldn't have her step out of this. She's on.
Well, then, does that mean I step out to
Which entity are you on?
the development court?
Well, the commission is not giving anything directly to the development corporation. The commission would be conveying property.
2 months ago, this commission gave property to the development authority and she didn't recuse herself. So what's the difference this time than when we transferred the property to the gas company to build a power company,
For the gas company.
for the
to
power
build-
company property? We transferred it and she voted there and she voted for it. So explain the difference. And she's voted to tell the authority to sell property. She has voted several times for stuff that has to do with the authority. So I'm just trying to understand why this one's different from the previous ones.
And I guess the response is that when I looked at this, I felt like it was a more direct.
Can you cite in
So in terms of the first.
from the
thing-
ethics, because I can't find it in the ethics.
Well, in
where
terms of-
She should recuse herself because she has no financial.
Well, yeah, the ethics statute is designed for personal financial gain. Public officials are not supposed to partake and are supposed to recuse in any such instance. This is a more direct transaction in the power plant. This is from,
So do we have to go back and evaluate all our other votes?
no, I don't believe so. This is just a best practice. It was just. a
So why,
suggestion.
so in the future, that's what we'll do. You'll make sure.
Well. The
I'm
broader issue,
confused because she has voted several times to approve that this commission do things and transfer and direct the development authority to do things. I'm trying to understand what the difference for today is. She's either a yes voter or no vote.
yeah, and it's the wearing two hats and the appearance here, given that it's a much more direct relationship and direction here. And just as a best practice, felt it was prudent that she step aside here.
Well, I'd like legal opinion on what, how you came up with that and presented to me, to the commission,
Okay.
because I don't think that this qualifies.
Yeah, and it kind of comes down to Commissioner Hinkle. The legislature before has talked about barring county commissioners from even appointing themselves to boards in Charleston.
Yeah.
And in my mind, when I was looking at this, given the direct relationship, I thought that as a best practice, she ought to step aside, given the clearly direct relationship. And the legislature hasn't done that in Charleston. They haven't enacted that legislation, but that was in the back of my mind as a lawyer when I was looking at this and discussing it.
So what made this one stand out more than the previous ones?
Well, the other transactions are much more complex and structured entirely differently, especially in relation to the power plant, the example you provide.
That's not the only one.
And if I may add, Trey, I think we also talked that she sits on the commission, the development authority, and the development corporation, because she sits on all three.
And it doesn't matter as far as the ethics commission is concerned, because she does not have any financial.
In terms of the Ethics Act, I agree with you. There's no personal financial benefit or gain.
So then she should be in here voting.
But we're talking Ethics Act versus a best practice and a potential appearance of impropriety is what I discussed with Laura. And that's where, and I'm happy to put it in writing and give you an opinion.
Would appreciate it
Sure,
and be made part of the record for today.
sure, that's fine.
Okay, we have an item number 12, review to discuss, consider transferring balance of Harrison Regional Industrial Park property tax district 15, parcel 44, 1.2 and 1 on map 310 and parcel 54 of tax district 15, map 290 from Harrison County Development Authority to the Harrison County Economic Development Corporation with the following stipulations: providing $140,000 for the Harrison County Commission and $100,000 for the Harrison County Regional Commercial for 44, 1.2, 1 and 40,000 for partial 54. Relieves the county commission of approximately $50,000 of outstanding invoices of pressure engineering and relieves the county commission of $1.4 million match obligation for the USEDA grant. Motion to approve. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Commissioner Treecost,
Yes, Mr.
I'd like
Hinkle.
further discussion.
Go ahead, sir.
I would like to know that on the parcel that is landlocked, that we give a limited access along the property that the development authority owns, so that they may get access to the property down along the property line.
Can I chime in?
Yes, sir.
So I think that a couple things need to be added. One, I think we need to treat the conveyances just like we did with the harvest care deed. There are stipulations in the harvest care deed, which I think are important. These properties are both around the airport, and we want to carry those forward, or suggest that they be carried forward. We also need to, my notes for other TNCs would be access, which is what Commissioner Hinkle is speaking of. And also we need to look and make sure we reserve utility easements like we did with the harvest care transaction. Just make sure everything is.
So let's go ahead and
Good.
include, as stated by the Commissioner Hinkle and the county attorney, that we add that into the motion, Madam Administrator. And now can we go ahead and vote, Mr. Commissioner?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Treecost. I think those were important to make this a good transaction for all. I appreciate that.
Motion to approve. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion approves. Hey, young man, will you ask that young lady to come back inside, please? Thank you very much.
Glad to vote, Joe.
Yes.
No, no. Well, whatever you want to say, I'm sorry. I'm more flexible than everything else. I don't give a crap, it's over.
Okay, number 13, review, discuss, consider accepting the feasibility study for the property located on 279 for the Regional Farm Recreation Facility feasibility site barn complex.
Motion approved, please.
We have a copy of the feasibility study.
Yeah, it's on there, the feasibility is 13-14 in the exhibits. Because one is the cost, the rough cost for the youth lawn complex, and the other is the appropriate acreage to 10 acres that to be charged out. Go down. There's one more. Go down.
Can't see a plat. Where's the study?
This is everything that I have received from Thrasher, you can have the 10 acres in his.
So there, that's not a feasibility study.
So we have started the feasibility study. We have parts of it written, but my goal of this was, is this the direction that you want to go in? Is this how you want?
I thought the feasibility study was supposed to tell us if this was best use of property. So I guess that's where I'm confused. It says we're accepting the feasibility study for the property located on 279, so there is no feasibility study to accept. We're just going to 14 about discussing the 10 acres. And you supplied the information that would cost to develop the 10 acres with a shell building with nothing else being done as far as cost goes. But we don't know if that's the best use to practice for that property.
I believe the feasibility study was to iron out where exactly the best 10 acres on this piece of property were to go, not the best use of this property.
No, I think we asked for best use of property.
No, we did not. We asked for the best
Where?
10 acres for the piece of property for the barn to be built on. We have for the past 3 years. If I'm wrong, Chad, remind me, if I've had this conversation for 1,000 days, then we want to know where in the hell the best 10 acres are to put this piece of property on the 279 property and sell the other 42 acres. Have I repeated myself on that for 1,000 days, sir?
I think that this is the best parcel to develop for what you want to put out.
Thank you, sir. The motion is on the floor to move forward.
I don't know how you can move forward when you don't have a study. What are we approving?
Proven to put the,
This is where he's saying
I
that
mean,
it's feasible to put the 10 acres, to put the barn
I'm
on.
just asking.
In the
how you
blue
determine
outline, is that correct, Chad?
Yeah, but
it. How did you determine it?
when you look at the streams, when you look at the grading, when you look at the utilities that are out there.
And does this affect the other part of the property, what you're about to do here, down here at this end?
It depends on what the other uses of the property are in the future, yeah.
So we did not study what the outcome of doing this would be.
That wasn't part of the task,
Why
I
would
don't
you want,
believe.
why would you want? I'm not gonna look at Trey, but I know what Trey wrote up and I know what we approved for feasibility study.
Okay, what
It
did it
was the
say?
best, it was the best use practice to come up with what was gonna be the most beneficial to the county financially and what it was all gonna cost to do with the property. That's what we said, and I have yet to see that feasibility study. Mr. Biller said it was gonna cost you guys a couple $100,000 and you guys didn't wanna do it. So this is how you duck paying him to do exactly what you're getting ready to do here. You don't even know what it's gonna affect the value of the other property and future use. Why would we,
Don't, David, don't go there. Let's not
Oh,
even
okay.
go there.
you
No,
guys.
you
are
know,
great
I'm
developers.
tired of sitting in between you two.
Between
This-
who?
Between you and Patsy, it doesn't matter what it is. You've got to put a wrench in everything.
I'm not putting a wrench in.
Yes,
anything.
yes, you do it all the
That's
time,
what-
David.
okay,
And I'm
you're
not
gonna
saying
put
I
a wrench in
don't
it.
agree with, I don't say I don't, I'm not saying I don't agree with you, but this stuff has got to stop. We should be able to agree to disagree.
Well,
I've
then,
been here for 2.5 years. And that has never happened. Very rarely has that happened. And I just don't know. I don't get it, guys. I don't, we're here to serve the county and do the best thing for the citizens. And I don't think-
this is it.
As a matter of fact, I do.
So you think that not knowing what you're gonna do.
I don't
the
think
rest
you
of the
know
property-
everything there is to know about
Oh, I think
development.
I know. a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
more than what you think that I do.
No, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
I want
I'm sure
Mr.
you
Miller
do.
to say whether or not from this feasibility study, what else can be built there after he does this? Because he's taken away the main part of the entrance that we're gonna have to cross over. He's filling streams and he's gonna make it probably impossible to ever drain that pond. Which is gonna affect the use of that property. And
Well,
if he,
I don't
I'm
think,
listening.
I don't think we're filling strings, so we tried to avoid that,
There's a stream that runs all the way down from the pond, all the way where you're going to the next pond.
trying to keep it to a minimum, of filling any stream.
I know you're gonna try to hit 300 feet.
That's the magic number.
I know what the number is. I'm the only one up here that knows what the magic number is, but I don't know what I'm talking about.
And just like what you just did before, I think preserving easements and right of ways to use this road and the rest of the property is probably really a good idea.
So how much land are we taking to make 10 acres?
We graded the, where we thought the barn should be to the most logical place, the easiest place to grade the barn. And then we just drew an outline around that to make the 10 acres.
So it's just 10 acres we're giving up,
Yes.
and what's finished acres?
So that would be 42, I think it's 52 acres.
No, I mean for the 10 acres, out of the 10 acres you're taking, you're gonna give us 10 acres of flat on 10 acre
No.
use.
No, it's not 10 acres of flat.
How much flat?
I don't know if it's written on that sheet or not. I can't see it from there. I can't remember, David, and I grabbed the wrong notebook and I don't have it with me. If I read it. Yeah, I don't know.
Can't read it on what I have.
Well, the outline in blue is 10 acres, so
So that
So you
inner
probably
part,
got
so we're talking
2
maybe
or 3, maybe,
2 or 3 acres.
yeah.
Any further discussion?
Well, ma'am, I'd just like to see the feasibility study that we're about to vote on.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No,
Motion carried. Number 14, review, discuss, consider retaining the 10 acres that is planned for the regional farm recreation facility site and putting the remaining 48.2 acres out to auction to be sold off. It's a
I'd
pleasure.
like to know who's
Motion
going to
approved.
sell the property,
Motion to approve.
and I'd like to know who's gonna sell the property. The county commission that's putting it up for auction, or are we giving it to another entity to auction?
We'll let someone like Kaufman.
No, I mean another organization. Is Harrison County going to auction it themselves through a company?
That's what you just said.
No,
What other company are you talking about?
I'm not talking about companies. I'm talking about whether you're giving this to development authority, whether you're gonna give it to some other organization, or whether you're selling it ourselves. I wanna know how much you're selling it for, what the minimum bid is. You gotta say you wanna auction something off, how much do we plan on making? I mean, shake your head, but you're just gonna auction it, there's no dollar amount.
Frank, can we auction it ourselves or do we have to get it in the development authority's name?
We have the
We're
ability
already doing that.
to auction property, but we need to understand what the terms and conditions are gonna be for the auction. So it's a property that sits near the airport. And we have to think about
So we'll apply the same rules.
what rules we want to apply, what covenants we want to run with the land, and then are we gonna try to use the auction to finance the anticipated construction cost of the farm recreation facility or a portion of it? Those are the things I'd like for you all to include and decide, because they need to be built into the minimum, the reserve for the auction with the buyer's premium on top. And then the covenants have to be published as part of the auction process. Otherwise, we're gonna get in a boatload of trouble down the road.
Now, let's go ahead and include the covenant, just like you said, for the other, that, you know, to protect the airport, to be part of the motion, Madam President. And then also, and also to, you know, not to do anything that would affect across the street with the new terminal or the runway. And then also let the county administrator then begin the process of auction. This is the piece of property we bought for $900,000, Laura.
I believe it was 100,000.
And we're gonna keep 10 acres. And let's make a motion, a minimum bid of $700,000 be included in that. A minimum of. So if
You
you get
selling the
more.
gas rights with it?
Don't wanna sell the gas rights,
Don't
don't
wanna
wanna
sell
keep
the
the
gas
gas
Mr.
rights.
Tree Cost might want the money turned.
David, I'm having a conversation with you. Work with me here. You said gas rates. I agree with you. There's no argument. Nothing's arguing about with that.
So why wouldn't we just sell it for the 900,000?
Because we took 10 acres and that doesn't seem fair to me. We can generate $700,000 to go towards the barn. We have 250,000 now. We have $1 million cleared. This is helping us to accomplish something that all three of us want.
I'll tell you what, Patsy, one day.
$700,000 is a good number. And just because it's the minimum doesn't mean we're not gonna get 1.8.
And do we
It
need,
should be going for $1 million based upon what you guys just auctioned the last property off.
Well, David, what it should go for and what is probably what we'll get then. These are, you know, nobody's gonna buy that piece of property. Let there be a bidding war, but let's make sure we get a minimum of $700,000 to go towards the barn. Just because we put a minimum doesn't mean that Amy can't offer 800,000, I can't offer 900,000, and John can't turn around and offer 1.1. We take John's. Patsy and Amy are out. That's how it works. It's called free enterprise.
Well, it didn't work very well for us on the last property that just got auctioned off.
Well, that's because we overpaid for that last piece of property, so we could generate money for the airport because it needed fluid cash.
So you're saying the appraisal wasn't any good?
What I'm telling you is, you know, we overpaid for that property.
No, I don't.
Well, then, good. You're the only one that doesn't, because nobody else is willing to pay for it. So if you're the only one that thinks it's worth more than that, nobody else did, and we advertised the crap out of it through Kaufman Real Estate for a 45-day auction process. So we are doing everything we can to generate revenue for the Harrison County Commission, which, by the way, would be nice for us right now, based on our numbers. But if we can put $700,000 minimum bid on there, I hope we get 1.9. I'm gonna root for the best. But I see what you're doing. You want to put a minimum bid so nobody pays for it.
No,
That's
sir.
exactly what we do on the
I
other
just
piece
want to
of
get us,
property,
get
Madam
what
President.
the property's worth.
It's exactly what we did. So motion is on the floor to include what Mr. County Attorney said about making sure we protect the airport. Also to include that we keep the gas rights, as Commissioner Hinkle stated, with a minimum bid of $700,000. That's the motion on the floor, Madam President. I'll call the question, please.
I'd like the motion read back.
Okay. The motion is to accept, make sure. To retain the 10 acres. As we've done. And put the remaining 48.2 acres out to bid. With the same restrictions and reservations as. Before, which is oil and gas, whatever else was included in the previous deed to the commission. For a minimum bid of $700,000. Did I get it all?
And include the airport protection.
And include the protection for the airport.
The covenants that we put on the other piece of property to bid, the same covenants will
Yes.
follow this.
Is there anything else?
we just need to make sure we have the utility easements to develop the property. And I can talk, I don't know where the infrastructure sits, but we just need to make sure that we can.
Judge, you missed the gas line in the middle of that section.
I'm sorry.
There's a gas line that runs under where you drove the thing. I didn't see that in your cost.
It goes out by the pond right there, David, in red.
We completed it.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No,
Number 15, review, discuss, consider authorization to close at 12:30 PM Friday, September 1st, 2023, due to use of the courthouse lobby and plaza by the West Virginia Italian Heritage Festival.
go through,
Motion to approve. Any discussion?
the judges are,
The judges will submit their normal letter that they will be open during this.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Laura,
I have nothing, Madam President.
Commissioner Treecost? I have nothing more. Mr. Hinkle?
no man.
Motion to adjourn.
May everybody have a
All in
good day.
favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?